Mr. President, for the record, have you ever been contacted by any law enforcement agency concerning Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell?
As far as I know, no. That is, as far as I remember. Back in 2008, I sort of thought somebody might ask me something. Because I was glad this had come out since it had happened. But I don't believe anybody ever did.
You mentioned that you thought someone would want to ask you something. Can you elaborate on what that means?
Just because he let me use this airplane.
And to be clear, have you ever provided any information to any law enforcement agency concerning Jeffrey Epstein or Miss Ghislaine Maxwell?
So you asked this question before, you're just asking him to reiterate the response to the question that he previously asked you, Mr. President.
I don't believe any law enforcement agency has ever asked me. And I didn't know enough to volunteer anything.
Mr. President, are you aware of any efforts by anyone, including an attorney, process server, investigator, or any other person to contact you regarding any civil lawsuit, claim, or litigation involving Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell?
Not that I recall.
Did Jeffrey Epstein ever inform or represent to you that he was working with any intelligence service of any nation, including the United States?
No,
Did Ghislaine Maxwell ever inform or represent to you that she was working with any intelligence service of any nation, including the United States?
no,
And during your relationship, did you ever suspect Epstein or Maxwell of being affiliated with any intelligence agency?
I did not.
Thank you. I want to talk about your time in the White House. I realize that you have testified, your recollection is limited, but did Mr. Epstein ever visit the White House while you were president?
Objection, asked and answered.
The records reflect that he did.
That's not the question.
According to FOIA requests to the Clinton Library, Mr. Epstein visited the White House at least 17 times between 1993 and 1995. Do you have any reason to dispute those numbers?
Nope, I don't.
Do you know what the nature of Mr. Epstein's visits to the White House were?
Are you asking what he knew in preparation for today? Can you clarify what you are seeking to learn?
First of all, at the time, I had no idea he was coming and going. Huge numbers of people come and go in the White House. A lot of them come well over once, especially if they're lobbyists, for example. But I didn't know he was coming, so I certainly didn't know what he was coming about.
Mr. President, after you left office, did you or your staff ever conduct a review of records, documents, or other materials related to Mr. Epstein's connections to your White House?
You're exempting counsel. You can respond to that, but don't say anything about what you talked to your lawyers about. You can respond to his question.
Do you need the question again?
Yeah, I don't even understand. You mean, did we look into what he did in the White House after I left office?
Mr. President, one of the concerns of the committee is how Mr. Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell attempted or potentially attempted to curry favor with influential figures. My question was, after you left office, did you or your staff ever conduct a review of records related to Mr. Epstein's connections to your White House?
To the best of my knowledge, no.
At this time, I would like to introduce what will be marked as Majority Exhibit 11. And while it's being passed out, I will note for the record, this is a New York Times article entitled "The Untold Story of How Jeffrey Epstein Got Rich," published on December 16th, 2025. And when you receive the article, I want to direct your attention to the last paragraph of page 31.
The last paragraph of which page?
31. And when you are ready, I will also read it into the record. Again, we are looking at page 31 in the last paragraph,
Yep.
and I will read it into the record and ask you a few questions.
Please give him a moment to read this.
I see this.
This is the paragraph he wants
Yeah.
to ask with us.
Mr. President, the article reads, by 1995, Clinton and Epstein were sufficiently chummy that he wrote a get well soon note to Epstein's ailing mother. Hang in there, the president scrawled on a yellow post-it, which Epstein saved and we reviewed. Mr. President, did you write this note?
Are you asking if he recalls writing this note from 1995 on a Post-it?
Correct.
Okay, thanks. Just clarify.
It looks like my handwriting, but I don't recall, but I will tell you this. I have written get well notes to lots of people I did not know and had never met.
And you answered my next question. Did you ever meet Jeffrey Epstein's mother or any of his family members?
No, I'm not sure that I was asked to do this by Jeffrey Epstein.
And I want to focus specifically on the article's characterization. It says that you were chummy with Mr. Epstein in 1995. Is that accurate?
No,
Well, I'm going to object to that characterization. It's hearsay. The President may answer.
no. I was surprised by that.
Stop. Sorry.
Let's talk about your relationship with Mr. Epstein after you left the White House.
Okay.
How would you characterize your relationship with Mr. Epstein?
Mr.
Well-
President, he has a question for you.
During the time it was cordial.
At any time, would you characterize Mr. Epstein as a friend?
We were friendly, but I didn't know him well enough to say we were friends.
How often did you communicate with Mr. Epstein?
Usually only on the trips. I did go to his house once, as you know.
And we will discuss that further later on today. And how did you typically communicate with Mr. Epstein? Did you talk to him on the phone?
Excuse me, he just said he talked to him on the trips, so that's in person.
Typically, my staff communicated with with him. I think it was mostly Mr. Band, but somebody talked to him.
And you mentioned that you visited one of his properties. But outside of the work on the foundation and your trips, how many times did you meet in person with Mr. Epstein?
You're asking him to the best of his recollection.
Outside of the trips. I believe he came to the office once in Harlem. I was still in the house up there then. And I think he paid a brief visit to the office. And I paid a brief visit to his house. When I once thought he was there, but now that I think about it, I don't think he was. And that was it. I mean, that's what I remember.
And you mentioned you visited Mr. Epstein's house. Are you referring to his New York townhouse?
Yes,
And your communications with Mr. Epstein, did you ever have any communications that were not related to the foundation?
I don't believe we ever talked about anything but the work we were doing. I mean, maybe small talk, I can't imagine, I don't remember the conversations.
And for the record, before we move on, did you ever have any communications with Mr. Epstein that related to young women or girls?
No.
Excuse me, do you have your, fantastic, thank you very much.